30 years, AIDS has killed over 30 million people around the world, and there are 34 million more currently infected. While sub-Saharan Africa accounts for little more than 12% of the world's population, it accounts for 2/3 of those infected. In Africa, the virus is mainly spread heterosexually, with over half infected being women. Pregnant or nursing mothers with the virus have about a 25% chance of passing the virus on to their child, and half of those babies die within 2 years without treatment. AIDS kills 1.2 million Africans every year. There are 5,000 new infections every day. Nearly 90% of the world's AIDS orphans are in Africa. AIDS has gravely affected households, communities, and whole economies. It has also resulted in a dark cloud of hopelessness over the lives of tens of millions of Africans. It is impossible to live and work in sub-Saharan Africa and not come into contact with the AIDS crisis.
We know that one of the reasons why Southern Africa has the worst rates of HIV in the world is because people move around. And for a number of years we've been able to show quite clearly that along the trucking routes of Southern Africa there is much more HIV than in rural communities.
I started when I was 16 years old. I became a sex worker because of poor, not having money to buy food, clothes. We go there where they sleep in trucks, we knock. If he's there, he opens the door, we talk, he say, we want to do business with you. Then if he wants, we do business. We sleep with him. He gives you money, after that you go to another truck. I have been contracted with the syphilis, gonorrhea, and now I'm HIV positive.
Did you tell the truck drivers?
I don't tell them, because if I tell them, no business.
As long as it is not my wife, I always use condoms.
Does your wife know that you have sex with these girls?
Hey, she doesn't know, but she suspects. She knows all truck drivers are doing it. And sometimes if I bring her here, she sees a lot of women moving around. But she can't say nothing because she knows it's happening all over. You see, but she's always warning me, hey, please, make sure if you do it, you must use a condom.
One of the reasons why HIV has spread and continues to spread rapidly in Southern Africa is that it's culturally normal or economically normal for people to have more than one sexual partner at the same time, rather than serial monogamy, which is more normal in the West. It's usually about the fact that there is a man going to work in a mine or go to work as a truck driver, and therefore he has to leave behind his main family as we would see it in the West.
It's early morning in the heart of Zululand in South Africa, and these girls are on their way to one of the most important but controversial festivals of the year. Dressed in their traditional Zulu costumes, they'll take part in an ancient custom once thought forgotten. They've arrived for a virginity test. The teenagers want to prove they have abstained from sex and are free of AIDS. Every successful examination is greeted with cheers. I want everyone to see that I'm still a virgin. I am very happy. Because of the threat of AIDS, I avoid sex. These proud Zulu warriors, the very people who are infecting their wives and other women through unprotected sex, aren't interested in the test. This young man has been bedridden for months. He can't get up on his own anymore. Sufferers are discriminated against and often ostracized from their family and community. This 28-year-old avoids the word AIDS. He doesn't really know what has made him sick. This woman was infected by her husband. He died a few months ago. Now she doesn't know what to do.
The
The traditional healer is the only person who cares for AIDS victims. Here, hardly anyone knows how to help those with HIV. I advise the women not to have unprotected sex, but they can't stand up against the men. Many do not believe that AIDS can be deadly. A Catholic nun has just opened an AIDS hospice in this region. Here AIDS patients can wait in peace to die. The sisters don't expect any help from the government, despite figures from the UN stating that in some areas of KwaZulu-Natal, a quarter of the population is infected.
If you have AIDS in African society, you have been wished by your neighbor.
The neighbours want nothing to do with Tofane Madlala and her brother. Their parents died of AIDS inside a year. The 17-year-old ended up in jail because of theft. The two don't get any financial support from the state. We can't afford corn flour or electricity. In the evenings, we live in the dark. A relative gave us a little money, otherwise we would have starved. Sometimes we eat virtually nothing for 3 or 4 days. AIDS activists protest. They demand that AIDS orphans should be given €10 a month by the government and should receive antiretroviral drugs.